Hello and welcome. This is the news highlights on NT International. My name is Justin Bemuyi. U.S. President Donald Trump and the leaders of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo have signed a peace deal, even as fresh violence raised questions about the accord to end one of Africa's longest wars. Trump said the United States was also signing deals on critical minerals with the two countries as he hosted Paul Kagame, the longtime president of Rwanda, and Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi in Washington. Speaking of the two leaders, he added, they spent a lot of time killing each other, and now they are going to spend a lot of time hugging, holding hands, and taking advantage of the United States of America economically like every other country does. However, the African leaders both took a more cautious tone as fighting raged in eastern DRC, where the M23 armed group, which the UN says is backed by Rwanda, has been gaining ground in recent weeks against Kinshasa's forces. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin said he is ready to continue uninterrupted shipments of fuel to India as New Delhi faces heavy U.S. pressure to stop buying oil from Moscow. U.S. President Donald Trump imposed 50% tariffs on most Indian products in August, citing New Delhi's continued purchases of Russian oil. Revenue, Washington argues, helps fund the war in Ukraine. Modi thanked Putin for his unwavering commitment towards India and said the energy security has been a strong and important pillar of the India-Russia partnership. And Nigeria commemorates World Soil Day 2025, observed annually on December 5. The day aims to raise awareness about the critical importance and role of soil in agriculture and livestock development. The Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security has assured that the ministry is giving adequate attention to promoting and protecting soil health for sustainable crop production. Agronomists say more than 95% of the world's food comes directly or indirectly from soil, making healthy soil essential for global nutrition and human health. And now 17 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly and the Speaker have defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC. The defection was formally announced by the Speaker, Martins Ameuli, during Friday's plenary session in Port Harcourt. The lawmakers cited ongoing internal crisis within the PDP as a primary reason for their decision to switch allegiance to the ruling APC at the federal level. This is where we end the news at this time. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Justin Bemuyi.
From the PDP to the APC, citing a clear division within the PDP has risen. The killings must stop and no more ransom payments to kidnappers. Senate gives a fresh mandate, just as General Christopher Musa is inaugurated into the Federal Executive Council as the Minister of Defense. Anambra governorship election, ABGA commends President Tinubu for a credible election. We have these and more on our lineup. I'm Fisao Ogunfui. This is Political Update. Welcome. Let's start from Rivers, where Speaker Martin Ameuli and 16 other members of the Rivers State House of Assembly have defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress, APC, Amewule announced the lawmakers' decision during plenary on Friday, which is today, citing what he described as clear division within the PDP as reason for their defection.
Seconder, Deputy Speaker. Respected colleagues, Right Honorable Jumlema, or member representing Ghana State Constituency, Mr. Speaker, this morning I write to second the motion, every move by the President leader. I so second it.
Kingsley Amajiri from Port Harcourt. Kingsley, if you can hear me, you witnessed the plenary this morning. Give us a sense of what played out.
So the great issue.
All right, Kingsley can really get us now. We'll try and see if we can reconnect with Kingsley Amajiri in Port Harcourt. As you can hear him there, he has some issues, but of course he's not defected. He's still with the NTA. So let's move on now very quickly to some of the other issues. General Christopher Musa has been sworn in as the new defense minister of the government of the Federation. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu inaugurated the retired general into the Federal Executive Council at the presidential villa.
Congratulatory handshakes for the latest minister, but the expectation is a hand that will shake the enemies of state to surrender or perhaps be taken out. The Minister of Defense immediately received briefing from the Commander-in-Chief. Drastic and fruitful actions are expected.
I just met Mr. President and he reiterated his mind on the aspect that we must make sure that Nigeria is secure. Nigerians should go back and sleep with their eyes closed, go back to their farms, schools open without being molested, everyone being carried together to make sure that Nigeria continues to grow in line with the renewed program of the Mr. President.
We're on all fours as far as that is concerned. Look, rain, thunder, sunshine, whatever it takes to get this mess under control. These guys need to be flushed out. Normalcy needs to return to our country. Laughter and joy has to come back to Nigeria within the shortest time possible. All we do is to pray for the best.
And earlier, the General Christopher Musa was screened by the Senate as the new Minister of Defense, and two unanimous resolutions which stood out in the course of the week stop the killings, that is, the killings must stop, and no more ransom payments to kidnappers.
Christopher Musa is hereby confirmed as a Minister of the Government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Now, during the screening of the new Minister of Defense, the Senate took time to evaluate the Safe School Initiative, discussing concepts that could help our vulnerable schools from attack.
Authorize the withdrawal of soldiers 30 minutes before the operation that saw to the kidnapping of the MAGA, 25 children in MAGA.
Now that we are debating on the propriety of having community-based police, state police, etc., I want to know the position of the incoming minister.
What are you going to bring to bear based on your experience at the operational level to the policy level so that Nigerians can go to sleep with their two eyes closed?
When people can no longer go to their farmland, yet nobody is occupying the farm, but for anybody who goes does not come back home, can you look at that sector?
All right, we will go to Port Harcourt, but still with the theme of curbing insecurity and ensuring safe schools, a key stakeholder joined us earlier to provide perspectives to all the issues on the front burner as far as safety of, and security of schools are concerned. In the past few weeks, attention has been fully galvanized into protecting vulnerable schools, especially boarding schools, from threats of abduction, as the nation's key stakeholders continue to advance strategies to forestall these acts of terror. Joining us now from Yobe State is Dr. Abba Idris Adam, an associate professor and commissioner for basic and secondary education in Yobe State. Honorable Commissioner, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Welcome.
All right. We have, of course, known, what your state has faced in the past decades in terms of insurgency and some of these challenges. But in terms of basic education and ensuring that education continues to go on and even kill in your state, we've not had too much of in terms of problems of this sort. What is the formula?
Well, actually, as you know, Yobe State, despite the devastating effect of Boko Haram insurgency in Yobe State that led school closed, teachers and students mercilessly killed, this did not stop us from going ahead in making sure that we provide quality education to our students. That is why in the verge of this insecurity, Yobe State government, under the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, we developed a plan that is going to provide safety for our school. In line with the Safe School initiative implemented by the federal government from the 2014 up to now, we have a plan like 5-pillar plan in Yobe State. But before we go into that, you realize that most of the students that are being kidnapped, and then maybe after the collection of ransom, they will be released, most of them are female students. And I think we need to look into this. Why is it that these insurgents are targeting female students rather than male students? Well, there are so many things attached to this. Number one is ideological, because they believe by kidnapping these female students, they are stopping them from accessing, from going to learn or what they call Western education. And to them, according to their ideology, this is a forbidden haram. Next is to punish the parents that are sending their daughters to school, and then also send a lesson to those families that are planning to send their daughters to school, that if you send your daughters to school, this is what is going to happen to them. Also, the next plan is to undermine the effort of the federal government and state government in providing quality education for girls. So another dimension for this is that when they kidnap female students, we know there is what they call high, negotiation value, because this will bring a global outrage, and this will give the insurgent power of negotiation so that they can negotiate and get what they want. Another aspect of this is to make sure that the next generation of mothers are silenced so that they will not access quality education. What we did in Yobe State is that we have like 5 pillars which our schools are going to be safe. And this plan has been developed by Yobe State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. Number one is physical protection. Yobe State has suffered quite a lot during the Boko Haram insurgency. Students suffered from physical injuries. Some of them were killed. So physical protection is, we have to make sure that our schools are fully secured, fenced, and also we have designated access points and also set pathway to schools. From their home up to the school, we want to make sure that students are safe. This is number one. Number two is community protection. The community where the school is located, we are making sure that that particular school in that community is fully secured. We do this by engaging local community, giving them sense of belonging, that this is your school. These children are your children. Their future depends on what they study here. So if you joke with it, you are joking with the future of the entire community. But also we try and engage the vigilante and volunteers. It will surprise you that when we announce this, many volunteers come to volunteer, that we want to volunteer and give our service for the protection of the school. So psychosocial support is the next thing that we provide. This is mostly in the high risk and mostly affected areas where there are some cases of students being, traumatized. So this psychosocial support, we believe physical protection alone will not solve the problem as long as psychologically students are not ready to learn. We believe it is only when student is psychologically and mentally fit to learn, then what we want to impart in them will not work properly. So you can see how we are devising means.
All right, Honorable Commissioner, I don't have too much time, but about, I think it was in August, your state was well commended across the country when we saw girls from your state, from Potiskum, win global awards in English, in composition and all that. And we were so enthused when we saw those girls come to Abuja speaking grammar like, they were born to it. So this gave us a lot of, encouragement that even in that axis, where we had some of these challenges in the past, we are now seeing the children come out of their shell to the point of even defeating people in better climes to get some of these awards. As that, for instance, cascaded to other schools, is that another sense of competition, both from the children and also the communities, to see that education is something to be taken seriously?
Actually, the secret behind this are the policies implemented by the state government under His Excellency Honorable Mai Malabuni, because the day he was sworn in on the May 29, 2019, he declared state of emergency on basic and secondary education. This is because that is where we are having most of the challenges. And then this was followed by first ever Yobe State Education Summit, where experts from around the globe were invited, where they diagnosed all the challenges of basic and secondary education in Yobe State. In the recommendation of the Yobe Education and Secondary Education was formed and was given clear directives: go and address the challenges of education in Yobe State. And among the recommendations that we implemented, you can see how education was repositioned, how education was reformed, to the extent that we are producing students that are competing at the global level and even beating most of the advanced nations, because these three students, all of them are from Yobe State. Number one, Nafisa Abdullahi, who emerged as the world champion in basic English skills. The second one is Rukaya Muhammad Fema, who emerged as the world best in debate. The last one is Hadiza Kashim Kali, who emerged as the world best in outstanding talent award. All these actually are the result of the education reform in Yobe State under His Excellency Honorable Mai Malabuni.
All right, what will you now? Apart from, of course, we acknowledge this, but what would be your word to other states, especially those even near to you? There are those who share borders with other countries and all that, in terms of having an architecture that would have some forewarning, especially when we have these dastardly outlaws on the prowl?
My message to them is that do not succumb to pressures of the insurgents. Make sure you have a clear plan, a clear strategy on how to revamp and reposition education sector in your state. Because Yobe State, as we all know, despite all the challenges of Boko Haram insurgency, we have never closed down school as a result of a particular attack. So when a particular school is attacked, the student will be relocated to another place and teaching and learning will continue. So I believe if the state has the zeal, and right people are appointed into the right offices, the achievement of all this will never be impossible.
All right, we've been speaking with an associate professor, and it took us quickly to his lecture theater. I understand that Dr. Abba Idris Adam is an associate professor and commissioner for basic and secondary education in Yobe State. We'll continue to come to you once in a while, especially in terms of intervention, since you have showed us a template, even by the results we've seen from your state in terms of basic education and secondary education. Many thanks for this opportunity. We'll get you again some other time, Dr. Abba.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
All right, earlier in the program, we were talking about what happened in the River State State House of Assembly earlier in the day, and Kingsley Amajiri is right here now to give us the full gist. Kingsley, you were there. I heard your voice earlier in the day during our plenary for the NTA. Tell us what went down, like the younger ones will say.
All right, Fisayo, I would like to welcome you to Port Harcourt and give you an up-to-date what actually happened. Earlier in the day today, the State Assembly sat, and in that plenary today, 16 members, including the Speaker, making it 17 members of that House of Assembly, left the PDP, the party they were elected from, on the platform they were elected, and crossed over to the All Progressives Congress, APC. And why this happened, the remaining 10 members elected their own minority leader. Of course, another incident that happened in that assembly today, there are 27 members of that assembly that are on this other side. the remaining 10 elected the member from Omuma State constituency as the minority leader. Now they have a majority and minority leadership in that house. Aside from that we also had another issue that was raised on the floor of the assembly today, which has to do with the issue of their place of meeting. You know, the reconstruction of the State Assembly is still ongoing at their permanent site, which is at Moscow Road. But today they moved the motion and ratified that the temporary place they are using at the Assembly quarters will now be their permanent place of meeting for the remaining part of the life of the 10th Assembly. Aside that, the Assembly also considered the issue they had raised when they came back from the emergency rule. They also raised a motion calling on the state governor to present a list of his commissioner nominees. According to the motion raised on the floor, they had raised concern that there are just 8 members of the state, 8 commissioners in the executive arm of the government, and they reaffirmed their stand that the governor should submit the list of his commissioner nominees so that the executive arm will be properly constituted. And part of the concern they raised that the state should have an attorney general and commissioner for justice. These are the 3 main issues that were considered on the floor of the assembly, and after they had exhausted these 3 key issues, they adjourned till January 26, which is a Monday, 2026. And the speaker advised members of the assembly to go to their various constituencies and engage their constituents on discussion in terms of issues that affect them and development within their localities. These are the 3 key issues that actually transpired on the floor of the State Assembly today.
Thank you very much, Kingsley Amajiri. We will still come to you, perhaps maybe in the course of the next week. I know how things will, pan out in that place. A lot of people are saying that this defection may be as a result of the loyalty of that group to the FCT minister and his, face-off with the PDP, with another faction of the PDP right here at the capital. But we'll get to see how things unfold. Thank you very much, Kingsley Amajiri. You've been there at the State House Assembly since morning, and we hope you're safe and sound. So moving on now, the national chairman of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, Sly Ezokenwa, has expressed satisfaction with the conduct of INEC during the November 8th Anambra governorship election, of which Abga won. Of course, Ezokenwa commends President Tinubu for his neutrality while highlighting some of the developmental strides in the state, which he claims were responsible for the November victory. Abga national chairman was optimistic that the governor-elect of Anambra State, who is also the governor, Professor Charles Soludo, will not defect to any political party, but will continue to align with the progressives for impactful governance. He also urges President Tinubu to continue on the path he has stowed towards addressing insecurity in parts of the country.
Because the president, before that election, made this commitment that under him, he was going to continue to engender a transparent, fair and credible INEC. And if Anambra happens to be the litmus test, then I think the president can be scored more than 95%. But in the meantime, we are supporting Mr. President because, as I said, progressives are working together. The most important thing is that we must mainstream this progressive ideology to see how we can use it to better the lots of Nigeria. It is very sad that political parties are no longer leaned towards the ideology. The governor of Anambra State, under the platform of Abga, is closer to the president than many governors, even in Mr. President's party. The mandate he has for the next 4 years will still reside with Abga and the people of Anambra State. And there is no reason why he will need to go anywhere.
Now, the Young Progressives Party, YPP, has ratified the expulsion of the federal lawmaker representing Nnewi North, Nnewi South, and Ekusigo constituency, Uzokwe Peter, over alleged anti-party activities. Uzokwe's expulsion, originally announced by the National Working Committee, was unanimously upheld after the NEC reviewed multiple petitions, and what they called a verified video evidence of alleged anti-party conduct.
NEC reaffirms its zero tolerance policy for acts that undermine party unity, discipline, and cohesion. 3, commendation of the appointment of General Christopher Musa as Minister of Defense. The NEC commends the recent appointment of General Christopher Musa as the Minister of Defense. His appointment is viewed as a round peg in a round hole and aligns with our consistent advocacy.
What we want is discipline, and if you don't have such characters, then you have no any business with the party. Don't forget that the party had been winning elections right from its first participation in the electioneering contest.
Also in the course of the week, former national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Ambassador Damagun, has formally handed over the party's leadership to the Tanimu Turaki-led National Working Committee. This was as the tenure of the past NWC ends on the 8th of December 2025 amid a legal tussle with the camp led by the FCT Minister, Yeson Wike. The party's 611th NWC meeting preceded the handover ceremony.
The handover ceremony held at the Bauchi State Governor's Lodge in Asokoro, Abuja. The Turaki-led NWC emerged at the November 15 and 16, 2025 Ibadan Elective National Convention. Both outgone and current factional PDP and NWC are optimistic that all challenges confronting the party will be surmounted.
Every day we cross one hurdle, we put another hurdle, we cross it, we continue to cross these hurdles.
We are taking this party back to ordinary Nigerians. This party is called the People's Party. And if it's the People's Party, then we must take it back to the people.
The Tanimu Turaki-led NWC thereafter proceeded to the 611th National Working Committee meeting of the party with far-reaching decisions. They include a call on the federal government to brace up and most especially begin to consider a review of the security architecture in the country. Regarding matters that affect the party, NWC reviewed, confirmed and approved the congresses that were held in Osun State for the purpose of selecting ad hoc delegates. Also reviewed and confirmed the processes of the governorship primary election expected to produce a candidate who will represent PDP in the governorship election taking place in Osun State early next year. NWC additionally considered the issue of members of the party who were expelled by the National Convention in Ibadan and therefore issued them certificates of expulsion.
I really love this certificate of expulsion. Is it for somebody to glaze it in the sitting room or what? All right, that has been the program for this week. We will come again, of course, for the next episode, which is on Tuesday, the live episode on Tuesday. Between now and then, do play your politics for the greater good and keep it logged on Nigerian Television Authority for news reviews, previews, and interviews. Bye-bye now.